The women's candidates is being grossly overlooked, and honestly, it's blowing my mind. And I'm meaning these brackets and these players are way more competitive. It's way closer, and it's just flourishing with awesome and amazing tactics. And I want to analyze a game today here from Anna Muzychuk because she is the leading front runner from Ukraine, a 2522 rated GM. And at second place, we have Vaishali Ramesh Babu from India. And then we have a four-way tie for third place. This is what I mean by the games are just way more competitive over here. And sure, I mean, I do love the candidates, the male candidates. You know, I Senderov is, you know, he's killing it over there. You got Hikaru. I definitely want him to see if he can pull something out. You know, he hasn't had a great run. And Fide, not too far away. But I mean, it just doesn't compare to the women's candidates. And here I will give you a game, one of the most notable games I found here from Anna Muzychuk, and her opponent was Katerin Lagno. Those were some, honestly, a fantastic game by her. So Anna, she has the white pieces. Starts out with e4. Opponent e5. We get development of the knights protecting. And I believe now we're in a Roy Lopez as we look to kick the bishop. Anna says, no, I am not going to subscribe to such a trade. Knight comes out. We get a castle. And then the bishop comes out. Simply, Katerin is like, all right, I'm just going to castle, right? Simply just castle. Boom. Anna decides to take the knight. I mean, change of heart. Okay. But we double up the pawns. Simply just push the pawn. And now we just kind of get open with our bishop. We're going to make this line. Yeah, now we just have more movement with our bishop. So the queen now comes to d6, and what is so fascinating about this is because at any time I want to, I can decide to short castles. If you decide to overcommit, maybe you launch too many pawns, maybe you start shifting all your pieces to the queen side of the board. You bring your knight all the way over here, you bring your queen over here, and then you're like, all right, it's looking dangerous. I can castle this way anytime I like. But when you make a move like queen to d6, I mean, you're just screaming, I'm going to castle alongside. Like, you can castle short side, and you could have done it, but you're basically yelling, like, I'm going to castle alongside, and you're going to have to try to stop me or do something about it. So Anna says, okay, sure, I'm going to do something about it. She's like, all right, you know, if you're going to castle alongside, I'm going to go ahead and get these pawns out because I'm going to launch an attack with my pawns. The best thing about castling your kings on the opposite sides of the boards is you can use your pawns as weapons. If we castle on the same side, if I use my pawns as weapons, I'm only going to weaken my own king in the process of trying to weaken your own king. But it's vice versa. When they're on the opposite sides of the board, you just got these pawns sitting. I'm going to launch an attack. And Anna says, yeah, well, if you're going to castle alongside, you're going to have to meet all these pawns that I'm going to launch at you then. So, you know, bishop comes out. Looking to finalize that thought of long castles. Again, you got one choice. I mean, one more chance to castle short side. But it's, you know, I'm pretty much going all in on long castles. And Anna is subscribing to that as she brings her knight to a3. Looking to just kind of put more protection on this square. And you all will see why later. As we get a pawn push right here. So again, she could have castled alongside immediately, but I guess she just didn't like that this knight right here could have jumped to g5. And if this knight jumps to g5, this bishop can't go to any of these squares right here that I have highlighted because it'll just be taken. And it would suck if a grandmaster hung their bishop and won. If you leave your bishop, the knight's probably just going to take it. You know, it's a really strong bishop on this diagonal. If you bring your bishop back here, you no longer can actually castle immediately, because if you castle, you're just going to hang this pawn, and you're also going to hang a fork of your rooks and queen. And if you bring your bishop all the way back to its starting square, not only are you losing tempo, but now you just can't castle, which was your whole idea because your bishop blocks it. So I guess h6 was just kind of a contingency plan, which I don't hate her for. After seeing all those options, it makes sense. So the knight does come back here, though, looking to just reroute the knight and just get into a more active position on the queen side, because I still believe you're going to castle this way. And whoop-de-doo, she castles. She does a long castle. We've been waiting for this moment. We've been planning this moment. We've been thinking about this moment. And now I reroute my knight. I get my knight right here. yeah, so with the knight out here on this post, it's just stronger. It's attacking the queen. And if it was just here before and we didn't move our knight to a3 previously, we would have been in a heap of trouble, because not only would they take the bishop, and hypothetically I take back with this pawn. If this knight isn't here, I'm double isolating my pawns, or I'm sorry, I'd be doubling my pawns, but it's actually way worse, because not doubling my pawns, I'd also just checkmate you. I'd take with the queen, and I want a free queen, because if you take it back, I'm taking with the rook with checkmate, so you'd have no choice but to just ignore my queen on the back rank, which sucks. That just sucks. That just sounds miserable. And my queen is just in there doing whatever it wants, all because my knight wasn't here guarding here, and I didn't want to hang my knight. But yeah, our grandmasters saw through that. Shout out to grandmasters by giving us a good chess game. But when they take the knight right here, knight can just come back, and now we're in a game. And so we don't hang our queen. Shout out to grandmaster again, not hanging her queen in one. They slide the queen over to e6. Which is a very sneaky move, because at first glance you're saying, whatever, cool, they just hang their knight. You might be able to say like, all right, now let me just start developing my other pieces. I'm gonna move my bishop over here. I might slide my queen over to h1 as a waiting move, because they're launching pawns, and then boom, you're gonna run into another tactic. If you don't do something about it, and I mean if you don't do something about it fast, she's actually threatening knight takes e4. Brilliant move, by the way, because if you take with the pawn, not only is this pawn overloaded, so is this knight hanging, this pawn is also actually pinned to the queen. So if you take this pawn, if you take back, they're just going to take your queen. And yeah, that's just the problem. So what you're going to do is you're just not going to take. But the biggest issue is that this is such a strong pawn into position, this e pawn, because now when I start pushing my f pawns and kind of getting that whole attack going, you're not even going to have this e pawn to put up a fight. Like, that is also miserable. And then you just be down a pawn to a grandmaster. Not where you want to be. So shout out Anna again, seeing that tactic. And also, if the knight were to take there, you could take with the queen, but if you took with the pawn, you'd still be okay, because the queen would guard the knight. So the knight comes back, simply looking to free up this f pawn. Or get out the way of this f pawn so you can launch your attack. As you can see, white has already started their attack prematurely before the castle, but they predicted it. But now you can push this f pawn forward, and you can start to launch this attack. And then eventually, the knight also does play a pivotal role of just kind of guarding these two squares right here, just putting a little pressure. You never know, just putting a little pressure. Maybe you could play defense a little bit later, which y'all will see later in the game. This knight plays a fantastic role on defense. So shout out bringing a knight here instead of putting it over here, trying to be a bit too aggressive or something. I mean, actually, this would have hung it, but no, it wouldn't have hung it. But yeah, just trying to do too much. You'll see. So yeah, bishop comes here, simply looking to play b4. I want to get my pawns bulldozing into your position. I can't just play b4 that just hangs a pawn to this bishop right here. So yeah, we get a b6 by opponent. We finally play our b4, and now we get king up to b7. King up to b7 simply just allows me to maneuver my rooks in the back line, provide more help. I can also run my king out once I get my rook over, and then the king, what better defender of these pawns in front of the king than the king itself? If we're social distancing from these pawns, they're just kind of free. Putting them right there gives a little bit better position. So we slide our rook over. Now we're simply just looking to launch this attack right here. Yeah, so putting pressure on the pawns. Rook comes over. Initial idea right there. Queen comes back, looking to set up a battery with the bishop and the queen. So now Katarina decides to start her attack, launching this h-pawn forward, looking to just kind of get something going with this attack going on right here. Obviously, there's a pawn breach in this position looking to happen at some point soon. Not sure when, but just definitely some point soon. And then we actually get a pawn push on b5, which is actually wrong. The computer doesn't like this. By no means is she losing, but unfortunately, the computer would have preferred a simple queen move to like queen d1 or just queen e2 to kind of just maintain the position and just kind of massage, just kind of say, okay, well, I'm taking up enough space in the position as it is. So as long as I just kind of massage and just keep my pawns lodged in here, apparently there's another way to break through and get in. But that kind of patience It's definitely very hard to see. And again, if she would have moved her queen here, there's no telling. Maybe the game ends in a draw. And we need something to just kind of happen here and now. Again, unfortunately, this is actually leading to a draw faster and more concrete, because once you take with the pawn here, take back, you don't actually have to take with the pawn, opening up this file. What you can do now is just push the pawn, blocking the file. But as you can see, that brings it up to a 0.4. So actually you wanted to take. And once you take, I believe you just kind of want to trade off the rooks. Because, yeah, take this rook here, rook take here, and now the rook has full control of this file. And this is a way more pleasant position than at least the position that we got here. Because once we get here and pawn pushes right here, this position is, yes, a closed position. And yes, there is no way to go in, because now it's like, wow, you really just can't get in here. And you can no longer take this pawn because this pawn is protecting, or at least so you thought, because Anna finds that you can take this pawn actually, and I will still be grabbing it with my bishop. And again, what's so crazy about this match is that you see brilliant moves and you're like, wow, yeah, that's a dominant move. Or first you're like, man, I just don't understand. And then eventually it just kind of gets revealed to you in such a emphatic way. But that is just not the case with this brilliant, because even with this brilliant, the advantage is only 0.3. So this wasn't the dagger in the position. As once you take with the pawn, though, you know, being in a position like this is so scary. Just being down a whole bishop with no clear advantage, looking to strictly just kind of draw the game down a bishop, and you know, it's really nerve-wracking with all these pieces on the board. But the way is to take with the knight with check. The king, I believe the king cannot move forward. The king can actually, wow, the king can run forward. This is scary. This is scary. I don't know anybody who's playing king to b6 in this position, moving the king forward in the candidates. Are you crazy? And that's not what happened also. The king actually went back, which again, there's nothing wrong with this move. Either there's nothing wrong with this move. But what's so strong is knight to c6 is just such a powerful knight move, because this knight is just not getting dislodged. Like this is a dark square bishop, so it's never going to be able to attack this pawn or this knight. This rook can never get here because the pawn obviously to take that knight. Oh, and then obviously there's rooks on this open file, so that's just not going to happen. This queen can't take it. The pawn is anchoring our knight, and the knight would need like 2 moves to possibly even try to dislodge it. And as you can see, I have it marked down that this knight would move to this square, but simply you just don't have enough time, and I'm going to end up taking your rook and pinning. Same thing would happen if you take my rook first and I get my rook here. When your knight goes here to try to take, I'll just pin it, and I'm going to inevitably end up winning a your knight. And I'm just going to get my piece back. What is, yeah, so this is just a lethal position. And again, if you don't do something about this immediately, about my rook, I'm going to look to check you. Your king is going to be forced to move. Again, if you keep it there, you're going to just lose a knight. And now I'm also looking to get in here in your position and just take your other rook. Like, this position is a very, very tough to navigate, but Katarina, being a GM, finds the way, which is to trade off the rooks and then, and only then, place your knight to b6. Such a stunning find, stunning resource, the only move in a position that actually saves you, because now you stop my rook from ultimately getting to that a8 square. And if I got to this a8 square, God forbid you move your king up here and get mated on a7. But you're going to have to move your king up out the way, and I'm going to end up grabbing that rook, but this knight prevents all of that from happening. And, you know, it also gives my pawn less breathing room. This pawn can no longer advance later on, trying to open up the position, because the knight just simply blocks it. So, we get queen to e3. We get a bishop coming out to d6. And actually moving this bishop out to d6 now creates a target. A tactic in chess known as a fork is very common, but when 2 pieces are next to each other and can also be attacked by either like a lesser piece or be attacked twice, and while it's protected, that is called a fork. And the problem is our knight can't move out of the way. So we know We know the knight's gonna stay there. And Anna kind of sees that, hey, I have a target, and she goes for this fork attempt. If I get my pawn here, my pawn will be attacking your knight, and it will be attacking your bishop. And you can't take with the bishop because the queen will take it, and losing a pawn for a bishop is just not ideal. That's why it's called a fork. You can never move this knight because my rook will just come back here, check your king, and I will take your rook. You move your knight here to try to block it. My knight guards the square as well, so I just want a free knight and then take your rook afterwards. And this bishop is just going to have a hard time moving because now, if you move your bishop somewhere that I can take it, like you can't move it here, here, here. It's obviously blocked here. You can't move it here. I'm gonna take. And if you just move your bishop back here, again, I'm still just gonna play c5. I'm genuinely just still gonna play c5, and my whole idea of rook a8 is still on the board. I'm ripping open your position. Your position is not looking great for you. But again, Katarina finds the best move, which is queen h6. Looking to just trade off the queens. The best move and the only move in the position that actually keeps you alive. And it's looking like Anna finds a check. Queen comes back to position. It's looking like they're honestly just going to go for a draw here, which, yeah, they're just kind of repeating position, just moving back and forth. I'm not going to take the queen, but just kind of going back for that fork threat, or just also going back for the check and infiltration threat. And the issue with being here and not playing queen here, the only legal square for your king is there, and that just gets you mated in one. So kind of reintroducing these themes and threats, going back and forth. But Anna decides, let's not go for a draw. So Anna inevitably is the one that decided not to go for the draw with 8 minutes left on the clock versus 17. And that's so fascinating because we get a take, and Katarina thinks for 12 minutes. She thinks long and hard before making her decision and makes the wrong decision. Because I can just take here with the pawn, and now the same themes stand, except now it's even worse for you because you cannot move this knight. Yeah, so the biggest issue here is that you cannot move your knight out the way. If you move your knight out the way, you're just going to be stuck with check. Knight comes here, and now I have the resource G3, preventing back rank checkmate, but inevitably I'm going to end up winning your knight no matter what you play. Try to run with your king. I get a check with the king, and yeah, things are just starting to look very dire in this position for you. Also, another issue, you cannot move the bishop because the bishop can't go to any of these squares, or it will simply just be taken. But the only square that you can move it to is right here, and that'll just get you mated because you drop here, here, and our initial idea of rook a7 is checkmate, a brutal checkmate. So now you're just kind of in a position where it's like, wow, I don't know what to do, and there's nothing I can do to actually stop this fork. And now we see why we made that sacrifice earlier. But I know what you're thinking. Why can't I just play queen to f6? Simply just looking to trade off the queens. You know, I push this pawn, I take the queen first, and there's nothing you can do because this queen is actually unguarded. So you have to trade off queens, and you no longer have means for a fork. And now black is just killer. But she missed the move pawn to e5, and pawn to e5 is so killer because it's just a pawn, right? I can take with the bishop, you take with the queen, and we have a simple trade of queens. But this knight can also move backwards, which a lot of people overlook. So this knight will just come back, take, and now I'm up one pawn. I'm up one pawn, but my pieces are way more active. Like your rook is stuck in this corner back here. Anytime I want, I'm basically going to be able to just kind of get in there, just kind of maneuver and do whatever I want to just, you know, make means. And this is just enough to get active, get in there and do some damage. So I think Katarina saw that and said, yeah, I'm not really liking the position here. So she tries to play king b7. Unfortunately, we still have our fork resource in line. So, yep, we played that fork. We played that fork, and the rook slides all the way over to a8. simply looking to take the rook, but the queen guards the rook back here, so it stops any back rank threats happening. So we decide to just take the bishop. The queen takes back that pawn, looking to threaten the the queen takes back the pawn, looking to threaten the queen. But calm, cool, and collected, Anna plays rook. Rook takes a8. Anna takes the rook. And what's so painful about this situation right here is you can't even just take the queen, because if you take the queen, you get mated in one. So you're forced to take the rook, and ideally you'd want to take it with the knight. That is the top engine move. But now I'm going to get in here with my queen on a7. King's only legal move. I'm going to take your knight. King's only other legal move, and then you can play right here. And once the king inevitably goes to this square, you can simply just decide to take the queen, trade, and now be up a knight. But the cleanest fashion in order to do this is you can play queen to e8. If you block with the queen, you're now getting mated in one. And the only other legal move with the king is to move here to f6. And we move here to f6. I just have a fork. You take, I take with check, and now I'll be mating you because I'm up a knight and a queen. So this is the game that Anna ended up playing here today. A fantastic game. Again, the women's matches, Canada's matches, are just that much more thrilling, competitive, and flourishing with tactics and just uncertainty and that competitive edge. So don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see more of the Canada's matches covered. Like, comment one of your favorite moments, and yeah, turn on notifications.